All right, we are back on MorningLine. Joining us this morning, our financial expert, Dr. Friday Burke, taking your calls and questions. We'll get to the lines there as well as some questions online. Some of them are asking again, anything new since we've heard that I think at least some in Congress, I think the Democrats, at least in the House, have talked about a larger stimulus plan that could involve a payment, Dr. Friday. The Republicans in the Senate saying, you know, let's hold off right now. So there's no agreement yet. I think everyone on both sides kind of wants to see how things play out right now with the current stimulus plan and with things reopening, right? If they reopen and things go well, maybe a second one won't be needed anyway.
Well, yeah, and as we're taking these phone calls, Nick, we're seeing that the first stimulus hasn't actually finished, right? I mean, we know that, and we're one state in the United States, and we've got thousands of people that have not yet received their stimulus checks. So that money hasn't yet been put back into the economy to even see if it's going to do some help. Yes, there's a lot of talk from both sides, basically saying there's potential for essential workers getting extra money, people, you know, all these different things. But I think it's way too early to see if a new stimulus, a second stimulus would be needed at a time when IRS is saying it's going to take them till September to get the first one put out. And then that money needs to circulate before we know if it's really working or not.
I agree. I think that's what they're going to wait and see. So let's go next to, is it Bobbily? Are you there, Bobbily? Bobby, are you there, Bobbily? I'm not sure. I may have her name wrong, so we'll come back to her. Let's go. Yeah, that's probably on me, and she wasn't responding because I had the name wrong. We'll check on that. Let's go to, next up will be Dawn. Dawn, good morning. What's your question, Dawn?
Yes, I filed for self-employed, and I got affected by the tornadoes and the COVID thing with my job.
Yeah.
And when I tried to when I tried to go and file, they sent me in the mail. They sent me a Tennessee way to go card. And when I went to go activate the card has nothing on it. And also, when I try to go certify each week, every day I've tried to certify, and you can't get through on. I mean, you just can't get this. It keeps you on hold.
I know.
And then sometimes it says, well, we can't accept your call because we got too much call volume.
At this point, I'm done making excuses for the Department of Labor. Someone out there may call and say, Nick, look, we're doing what we can. But I'm telling you, that's just, I don't get it. If he's doing everything right and trying to get through, and still, all these weeks later, getting that kind, and I know it's not the volume it once was, even though I'm sure it's still large. It's just not right, Dr. Friday.
Oh, I hear you, but keep in mind, the self-employed individual in the state of Tennessee was never part of the unemployment at all. They don't pay into unemployment. It's not part of the state's policy, but because of this, they had to rewrite a brand new program, try to bring in a way to prove 1099s. I mean, I'm just saying, and what's happened, in my opinion, is by bringing that on board, you've clogged up the system for people that were really entitled or originally, you know, employers pay into a fund. So if for some reason their employee can't get work or they've been laid off or whatever, there's money in a fund that's supposed to help them. Those people, I think, have suffered more because of trying to bring on this new system. And I don't believe they hired a ton of people to help out. And then, you know, any new software, it's got a lot of glitches, you know? So I agree that the system at this point, there's just a lot of people hurting, and there should be a better way. I mean, open up more phone lines, open up offices where some people might be able to come up. I mean, there's plexiglass, there's ways of protecting people. Get a better line of communication, better customer service, so that people aren't so frustrated. It may be a simple fix, but I agree with you to the extent that we need better communication with especially the state of unemployment. There's just too many people that keep calling my office, and I have nothing to do with unemployment, but they're trying to find someone to help them.
Yeah, and calling us too, and it's frustration for us because I wish we could do more. Like I said, there's no doubt about it. Department of Labor was saddled with something that was unprecedented, never seen before. But we're several weeks in here, and you know, I guess have been some improvements along the way. But and you're right, you know, self-employed, it's a whole different ballgame they have to adapt to. But at some point, you got to get it going. All right, let's go next to Robin. Robin, good morning. Hi, Robin.
Hi.
Hey, what's your question?
My question is, my husband worked at a temporary agency, and he has a card that his payroll goes on. So he hasn't gotten a stimulus check yet. We do not know if the stimulus check will go on the card where he get his payroll, or will it come in the mail?
What do you think?
We're still waiting.
Great question. And,
Okay. All right.
yeah.
What do you think, doctor?
I think it will come in the mail. The payroll check is through his employer, has nothing to do with the
Right.
Internal Revenue Service. So that is a payroll card. So it'll definitely come through the mail to him.
Yeah, that's what I thought. At first I was listening. Was she saying this was SSI or disability or something? No, he's employed and he gets a payroll card. So yeah, the answer to her question is it's not going on the card. IRS doesn't know about that. They're not going to touch that. So it'll likely be mailed to you unless there is some other direct deposits that you have in line with the IRS, right? But they haven't received it yet. So probably mail. The answer would be mail, ma'am. Let's go next to Debbie. Hi, Debbie.
Good morning.
Morning. What's your question?
I have a sister-in-law that lives in Washington State. She receives a monthly check for Agent Orange for her deceased husband. I don't know if she has one of the cards or if she does direct deposit. She does not file with the IRS. Is she eligible? She tells me she's not because she's getting paid for Agent Orange.
Yeah.
I don't understand. They have her Social Security number.
Okay. Well, the fact that she's receiving a VA benefit for her deceased husband because of exposure to Agent Orange should not preclude her from getting a stimulus check.
You are 100% correct, Nick. I mean, I have other clients, and since she's not required to file a tax return, but the VA, just like Social Security, those individuals, many of them don't file. They are mailing checks to those individuals. And looking on the Social Security site early this morning, they mailed out a ton of checks just yesterday, starting to get them mailed out to people that are on benefits that are non-filers. So again, these checks are coming out, but she should be and will be most likely entitled to at least the $1,200 for herself.
Gotcha. All right. Let's go next to David. David, good morning. What's your question, David?
What reason would it be for you not to get the check?
Okay, let's run down those lists of the few that don't.
It's a great question.
Okay, go ahead. There are some that will not qualify.
Okay, so absolutely. There is back child support. So if you owe child support in the rears, not just people who owe it, but only if you're in the rears, that money will be paid to your account, but go into the arrears account. You won't physically receive it. If you haven't filed a tax return for 2018 and or 2019, if you're being claimed as a dependent of someone else, sometimes people on Social Security, their children, because they help care for them, claim their parents on their tax return. Those parents would not get the stimulus money. And I have been found out that if in certain circumstances, if you're not a U.S. citizen, that was the last one. If you're not a U.S. citizen, you will not qualify for it.
Yeah, so really the answer is the vast, vast, vast majority of people do qualify for it, especially with those income parameters, meaning you can own student loans, you can own loans, or you can own back taxes. You still qualify. It's just those exceptions Dr. Burke just went over there, so that's good. All right, let's go next to, I think we've got Angelina. Angelina, good morning.
Yes, morning.
Morning. What can we do for you?
Well, I had a question.
Okay.
My question is, I heard her kind of answer a little bit just now about when you claim someone as a dependent and things of that nature, as far as parent, child, or whatever. But it's just me and my husband, and I am on disability and Social Security, and this is the first year that he has ever claimed me as, as a dependent. We've never done that before. One of the people at the tax place said, it would be a good idea, blah, blah, blah. And he didn't know any better. So he was like, okay, yeah, sure. So he did that. And he was able to get an income tax return, but nothing for me. I didn't get anything. And he didn't get nothing for me.
Sure.
It was just his taxes alone, and that was it. but they're still saying, even though an adult and we're married, he was able to get $1,200, but I wasn't able to get it because he put me down as a dependent.
Okay, wow, that's interesting. So a married couple and the husband putting the wife down as a dependent. I just guess I've never heard that.
No. Well, he didn't put her down. I mean, he had to claim her as his spouse.
Yes.
It would be a husband and wife. It would have been considered a joint tax return. Not sure if I totally agree with married filing together if someone's on disability, Social Security, because that would have probably made part of hers taxable. But the difference is it may be that they already have you. I mean, in the past, it sounds like you've always been a non-filer. They may be sending yours through the Social Security, and they did his through the regular IRS filing. So you will most likely see the money still. It's coming through a different path. And many people, keep in mind, the IRS started using the 2018 tax returns for a lot of people because of the extension. Many people hadn't filed their 19 returns, and these checks are being prepared weeks and weeks in advance before they're actually being sent or electronically transferred. So it's likely they already had you on the Social Security side, your husband as a married filing separate kind of situation. So I would just keep an eye on your bank. I'm assuming you get a direct deposit. It would probably most likely come through your Social Security side.
Great. I bet you're right. You do a great job navigating those calls. Sometimes I get confused. Dr. Friday, stay right there. We're going to take a break. When we come back, more questions. A lot of people calling in. We'll get to as many of those as we can, as well as any comments off Facebook in our final segment with our guest right after this. Stay with us.